Hello my friends, today we're going to learn how to do the split. Not only is the split a really cool exercise once you learn how to do it, it looks really impressive. Also targets multiple problem zones that people have that if you don't work on them over time can lead to an increased risk of injury. We're going to split it up in two halves, the posterior chain and the frontal chain, and we're going to start out with the hamstring stretch. Now we've gone into the hamstring stretch multiple times in detail, check out this video, but we're still going to go through one exercise that you can learn that is going to make the split really easy for you to get into. So starting out in a seated position, we're gonna pull our toes closer to our body. Now what that does is it already elongates our Achilles tendon, our gastrocnemius, and our soleus. So basically the lower muscles and tendons of our legs. The next step is to fold forward. Now what most people do is they try to grab their toes, their back rounds, and they try to pull forward, which is not the most effective way to do it. So we've talked about the technique of reciprocal inhibition before, where you flex the antagonists of the muscles you're stretching to pull your body forward, which automatically relaxes the other side. What you can also do, and this makes it really easy, is basically you're going to pull in your legs and you're going to grab them like so and try and straighten them out all the way. Now once they're straight, you're going to do what I said before, pull in your feet, which is going to move the stretch from just the hamstrings and the glutes all the way down into our feet. We're going to hold for 20 to 30 seconds, which is the normal amount to hold a static stretch according to the most recent research. 30 seconds and 3 or 4 repetitions is the most efficient volume for stretching. We've done the hamstring stretch. If you're not going to use this technique, you can also try and extend your back, go into a spinal extension, and try and move forward with a straight back, which moves the stretch from just the glutes and the legs to really target your hamstrings. Now that we've done the posterior chain, the next thing we need to do is our hip flexors, our lower abdominals, and our quadriceps, because it's basically the trifecta of connection that we need to really get into a nice deep split position. With this exercise, the cool thing is that we have it split into 3 different levels. Level number 1, you're just going to start in a seated position like so. You have your hands on your feet in the back, and all you want to do is push your pelvis forward, which is gonna elongate your quadriceps, your hip flexors, and your lower abdominals, like we said. Now, we want to actively stretch. This is not a passive stretch where you're just waiting for it to happen. You're gonna flex your glutes and push forward as much as you can to get enough range of motion, a really nice stretch in there. Once you're done with level 1, you can move on to level 2, which is basically just getting a little bit lower onto your elbows, and again, pushing upward as much as you can. Just let your head hang backwards and contract, flex your glutes as much as possible. Once we're done with that, and once you're not getting any more stretch from level number 2, you can move on to level number 3, which is lying down and once again actively pushing upwards to get an active stretch. If you have knee problems, I would not recommend doing what I'm going to do right now, but if you don't, you can actually go up even further by having your legs leave the ground. Just hold and bring it back down. What that does is it stretches the connection between your quadriceps and your hip flexors, targeting it really precisely. Now once we're done with those two, we can actually start doing the split. I'll start out by just really taking a step forward and bending forward with an extended back. Now what that does is you're going to notice that we don't have any stretch at all in the lower part of our legs, but most of it is concentrated on our hamstrings and the lower side of our glutes. By straightening our back, we are pulling more on the upper tendons of our hamstring, and by rounding them, we're relaxing a little bit more. So while keeping your back fully straight and your spinal erectors tight, you're gonna shimmy backward a little bit, shimmy forward a little bit. You can also turn sideways to relax in between the stretch and then move in one more step. Relax, move in one more step. Relax, move in one more step, and try to keep as much of the weight of your body on your arms until you're far enough down where you think, all right, that is the end of my stretch, and then you can slowly try and release your body weight, which changes it up from a normal stretch, I put that in quotations, to a loaded stretch, because you're basically loading your entire body weight onto your legs and onto the split position. And once we're in here, we can either forward fold to move the stretch to our hamstrings, or backwards to move the stretch to our hip flexors on the right side. Over time, you're gonna move up and switch positions forward, backward. This is gonna require a lot of hip mobility, and the best way to do that is simply push up as much as you need. So if I only need to push up a couple of centimeters, that's all right. If I need to push up all the way here to be able to switch, it doesn't matter, but just incorporating this into your split routine is going to help you be able to do it on both sides really easily, and it's also going to increase the hip mobility you have, which you might need for different reasons, such as, for instance, you want to learn other skills like the pancake fold, where you basically open, and it requires a lot of hip mobility to bend forward and to pull your body closer to the ground. Not only have we learned how to do the split, we've also targeted multiple problem zones that lead to a lot of injury and a lot of pain when you get older, because if you're super tight here, what you notice is your pelvis goes back, and if you're super tight here and fully relaxed here, the pelvis moves forward. If you don't have the mobility to be able to move your pelvis into the right direction, that is necessary for having good posture, and with good posture I just mean being able to stand up in a way that doesn't hurt over time, then you're gonna have problems in the future, either with lumbar pain or with hip joint pain. Learning a split is actually a really good way to get around that. And that's it for me for today. I really enjoyed having you here. If you like the video, it's super hot here. Consider subscribing if you find the content that I make is interesting to you. I'll see y'all tomorrow, probably, because new videos every day. Apparently that's something that I do. Thank y'all. Captain Cairo. Peace out.